So we are meant to talk or meant to give this presentation on Earth Day, but we somehow could not, because of some personal reasons, we could not really do this presentation. And today's presentation is very interesting for me as well. Actually, this presentation is prepared by Ezel from Turkey. She's an environmental engineer, and I'm just a presenter. So just to clarify that if I miss some technical things, so please forgive me for that. So the title of the presentation as you see is, are we quite enough? Are we a quite human being? To say, as we see that from the title, this presentation is about the noise pollution and all other sorts of pollution that we have caused on our planet. And if we just, as you know, this is pollution is just a common term that we know even before this climate change issue came up, or that any unwanted change in the environment is called pollutant. And this can be various forms of pollution, ranging from air pollution to water pollution, soil pollution, or as we are going to talk today about noise pollution. And we know that basically we always, so far, we have always been defining everything that's happening in the environment from the human perspective. We think that we're the center of this universe or this planet, and we define everything that what is benefiting us. So as we also has defined that pollution is also that's affecting the human health, but not to forget that there are so many other living species on this planet which are also equally affected by the pollution, which is mainly caused by the human beings. So we call it anthropogenic changes in our environment. So just to define what can be declared as noise, and just to see, there are two determinants or the factors that define a voice as a category in noise, or comes in the category of noise. The intensity of the sound, which actually directly hitting or touching over the eardrums, which is measured in decibels. And the human ear can hear uh, sounds between 20 to 20,000 frequencies, and a decibel of 85 and above. Anything that goes above 85 decibel is declared or called as noise pollution. And we see that in this century, and especially maybe even from the mid of 20th century, there has been a trend to the migration to the urban centers, because somehow it's the same problem. Like we see east-west divide in the world. We see south-north divide in the world, and the same divide we see in rural and urban areas, because rural areas are not equally developed. There are not suitable facilities or the life necessary things are provided to those people, and we use them as our food basket. So there's the same kind of economic divide exists in our rural and urban areas, and we see, and we are continuously seeing that there is all the people from the rural centers, which are basically now much more affected by climate change, are moving or migrating to the urban centers, and these urban centers are exploding now. With that is with other kind of problems, we are also seeing this. One of that problem is basically the quality of the life or urban life is getting affected. And we like to see and live in all these nice, among all these nice and high-rise buildings, but we have to suffer a lot. According to the classification, noise pollution, I think, what if I forget, it's a 5 kind of, we'll see a 5 or 6 kind of noise. According to the classification, the first one, this is normal conversation, that is between 40 to 60 decibel, and is not it does not cause any health hazard, or it is safe for the human ear. Similarly, all the sounds which we hear as a music or orchestra, which is below or around 70 decibel, are also safe for the human ear. The third comes the sounds from the heavy traffic that we see if we are standing or passing by or living close to the highways or motorways. These sounds are close or around 90 decibel. And if continuously hearing these sounds can cause various health problems, including this hair loss. And if not, that can cause permanent damage to our hearing capacity. Then comes fourth, the sound of the pneumatic drills. Frankly speaking, I had to look what is pneumatic drill. So all this heavy drilling machinery that is used by engineers are called pneumatic drills, and they cause a sound that's around 100 decibel. And it causes, so constantly hearing these intensity of sound would surely cause damage to hearing as well as other health hazards. As you see that there are PPEs like the personal protection equipments wore by these people who are working in these either it is the construction industry or any other. They wear some kind of goggle, sorry, not the goggle, headphones, or not headphone, something on the ears. And say fifth is basically the sound of aircraft engine. So it's a we see very high intensity sounds, is above 100 and goes up to 200 decibels. And this noises also can cause deafness, rupturing of the eardrums, and damaging of inner ears or permanent loss of hearing. And it again, like a lot of other problem, anxiety, nervousness, irritation, anger, and all that stuff is very, very important to know. The sixth, I think this is the last one, the sound that is that we hear from the rockets, especially this, we heard of this sky mission, or sorry, Mars missions or missions to space. They have this, the rockets which are used, they produce very high intensity sounds, which is 200 or above 200 decibels, and can cause permanent damage to ability to hear. As I said, that the noise pollution is one of the invisible form of environmental pollution, because we do not see it, although we hear it. And after a while, we basically get used to it, because initially we go into an environment, if there is a noise, we get disturbed and distracted. But we see that if we live there for a while, for a few months, we do not get distracted, but we still get affected. Our health, our emotions, our body still react to it. So there are health hazards associated with the noise pollution, and which is also, there's a one publication from World WHO from 2011, which causes the burden of disease caused by environmental noise, and which shows that the traffic noise should be taken as a second place among the factors that causes health or problems for human beings. In the first, of course, you see that there are big smoke chimneys, which are releasing heavy smoke in the air. So this is, of course, the first factor that is causing health problem for us. This slide was very interesting for me, and I would really like to spend some time here, 2-3 minutes. So as I said that in the start, that we always take the things from human perspective and do not care about other life and the forms of life which are living on this planet. So there are some of the examples that we see that the animals normally communicate with the different ways of making sounds with each other, and also they also even fly with it. As you say in the example of bats, they produce this sonar kind of sounds that basically help them to fly, because they could not see in the day, or I'm not sure if they can see in the night as well. But I think they have a partial in the night, but in the day they cannot see at all. So here is first example is of the birds. So birds can adjust. We see that as we are also trying to adapt with the environmental problems, birds are also have capacity to change and adapt to this problems. They change their pitch of the sound, or they try to sing in the night. And I think these kind of sounds are mostly for courtship behavior, or for other kind of signals to their fellow birds. And they find, as I said, that bats can also find trouble in finding their ways. And also, if they want to look, if they're looking for a prey in their environment. So major source of noise pollution is the transport, airports, like all these planes coming and flying from the airports, and the gas wells. Then comes so that's in the air. And the land, we have that animals are also equally affected on the land with this noise pollution. And as you see, one of these examples is from the Pobble Bank frog, which normally can hear up to 800 meters. But with this noise pollution, or if they're close to the city or urban centers, they can only hear up to 14 meters. And similarly, the dogs in prairies are basically grasslands in a simple words. Northern American grasslands are called prairies, and they are also having trouble to communicate or hear the predators if someone want to catch them or eat them. So they cannot also follow those sounds. And we see this little, not little nice animal, or mostly all of the human are fond of this, the little dolphins. They are also use some kind of sonars, again, like some kind of these sounds which they produce to find their way and stuff and navigate in the sea. And so they also lose hearing, dolphins, porpoises, and the whales. And they can interface. And we see that we have a lot of this ship traffic in the sea, as well as we also started digging oil wells in the sea area, and that all causes this noise pollution, and which affects the marine ecosystem. Then we see that as we are talking today, we talk a lot. We do not, what they say, we do not walk the talk. We do not do what we say. So we know all these information, basic information, that we are causing a lot of contamination. We're adding a lot of pollutant in the air, soil, and water. We attend a lot of seminars. We are well aware of a lot of these problems. And within the cities, we see that a lot of civic authorities try to bring in new laws and sanctions so that they can somehow manage this pollution, or the noise pollution, or other forms of pollution in the environment. But as we see in all of the cases that things are not really working, we come up with a nice plan on the paper, but they do not really well when it comes to implementation, or when it comes to taking practical actions. So what is the problem, and what can be the solution of that? Of course, it's basically human psychology, our society, all that stuff we brought up with. There can be multiple reasons for that, but there are more, maybe social scientists or psychologists have a more authority to comment on that. Okay, so how is it possible to be quieter, or try to maintain the level of noise a little less in our urban centers? The first is very interesting. I didn't know that such a thing exists, making noise map of the city, so that the people can live, the residential areas can be placed outside that main noise region, so that when people are sleeping, or maybe in the nights, or in the residential areas, they could have a peaceful life. Similarly, fencing with the afforestation, like planting trees alongside the roads which have heavy traffic. And we see this so much common in West, and also I think some other countries around West, or even I've seen in this in Turkey as well. There has been a wooden planks along the motorways, which they're passing through some village or any center where the people are living around, so that it can reduce Autobahn. Autobahn is a German word here. Okay, good to see that. So they try to reduce the noise so that the noise do not spread vertically into the adjoining um, residential areas, and use the silent tire for the vehicles. And similarly, we encourage, of course, is very much common in certain part of the Europe, especially northern parts, Sweden and the Scandinavian countries, use more bicycles, walk, and have a more um, pedestrian and bicycle friendly roads. And most importantly, we have seen also, and maybe also now it's developing in other parts of the world, like the certain parts of the city declared no traffic zones. So no vehicle, unless they have to load or unload something, they can go. So those areas are declared as pedestrian zones. And that helps a lot to cut down the noise in these areas. And so these are some of the references. And as I said, this talk was prepared by Ezel from Turkey, and that's the end of our presentation. And we are open for now. We open a session that we will try to, as we see, we are about 5-6 people, and we will try to share our thoughts on what we understood from this presentation. And I think I would now stop sharing my screen, and then we can see each other again. Great.
Firstly, thank you, Tahir. I'm so glad for your presentation. If I did, I couldn't explain like this, like you. Thank you. I'm not good at speaking English, so I try to translate and I will.
You keep speaking, Ezel, it's no problem. It's just language. So please, just friends here. We will show to the people that we are from different countries and regions, and English is just a way of communication. So we will learn from each other. And I would love to learn Turkish from you, and Arabic and other languages, you know. Okay. So we can start, maybe just to give from some of my thoughts. The presentation was really wonderful. So many information that I even did not know. Some of the experiences that I would like to share, maybe we can share some of the experiences where we are living, how the situation is. So I basically came from Pakistan. Everyone knows that how those South Asian and Asian countries are like. We love to do horn when we are driving, or what we want to shout, what not. We want to play the music that the whole street can hear that. Living in Germany, I will just try to explain my 10 years of experience. They have really lovely system. Germans are very strict on certain things. They have one thing that I love, is called Ruhepause. This is a time period in the day where people cannot do any kind of activity that is loud. It's between 12 to 3, if I remember correctly. They cannot mow grasses, they cannot do hand drilling outside, they cannot, even kids cannot play in the parks. So this time, which is called sleeping time, kind of, they do not, and if you do it, they can even call to the police, and police will, of course, would not arrest you, but warn you and stop you from doing that. And it's really lovely thing I learned from their culture. And similarly, on Sundays, you cannot do all this. You cannot wash your clothes. You cannot, again, doing all this mowing activity, all this noise, because Sunday is a rest time. People are sleeping till late and they do not want to. And upon that, you cannot hang your washings outside. So it's noise pollution is not the only pollution, but visual pollution can also be like your clothes are hanging on the wires and people sitting in their lawns, and they do not like it, and that's why they also object that. So that was some of my thoughts on the place where I immigrated to, and I love some of their things, and I also hate some of the things, but of course there are very good things in their system as well. So So I would ask anyone else to add to that, the way you guys live, how you feel. Naseem?
Okay. Shall I speak or somebody else?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I talk about Iraq in general, I mean, after 2003 and the follow Ba'ath regime, I mean, the situation totally changed. I mean, I can say it might have been a quieter country compared to now. And it's because after 2003, it was a time when, I mean, so much oil was found in this country. And it was a period, it was going through economic booming. I mean, a lot of construction was going on, and I mean, people get used to many habits which they didn't have before, like driving cars, as you said, playing music loudly while they're driving. So, and recently there's so much motor vehicles on the roads, which they didn't used to ride motors. Yeah, I mean, this economic booming affected the pollution in general. I mean, not just in terms of noise pollution, but also I can say there were so much, I mean, CO2 in the air, and it was because of the refineries and very close to the cities. And aside of this, I can say there are also some good things which I like about my country. For example, after 12, I mean at night until 6 p.m., it's a very quiet country. You barely see a car on the road, so it's a time, I mean, which people consider it for rest. But during the day, yes, I mean, there is so much noise everywhere, so much pollution. But fortunately, recently people started talking about these new terms, I mean, about contamination, about noise and pollution, which they are very new. And it's a good start for a developing country. So there are activities going on every day. I mean, many youth are voluntarily involved in such activities, and which is a good start, I can say. But I cannot compare a country like Iraq to Germany, because we are very different, and we are somehow behind in many aspects. Yeah, I mean, starting from myself and joining such an activity will be a good start for my country as well. So.
Yeah, of course, it's really wonderful. But we see, if we take examples of Eastern countries, we had so much nice traditions, you know, when someone died or there is a casualty in the street or the town, or maybe small town, street, what we call muhalla in Urdu. No one was allowed to play music, or they were not playing the music. They were not watching the TV, or they were, but these traditions we are losing them now in a race to, you know, to become westernized. We're losing our good things that we had in our Eastern culture. We're leaving those behind, and we're just like getting all good and bad things from the West. So West or the developed countries all do not have everything good. So there are also some things that are not really good in terms of all that, as we were talking. Yeah, but as I said, that there was a lot of good things in our Eastern cultures. As I said that I'm here now like 10 years now, and we often laugh with my wife, she said that I really want to do horn or honk, because so many years I never did this, and I forgot that's how horn sounds like, you know. And today my daughter has this presentation in the school, and she gave some small what they call magnets, and the magnets have a rickshaw on it. I don't know if some of you guys know that it is called I don't know what is this called in rickshaw in Thailand. They have called not tuk-tuk, something like that. Have you heard of this word? It's a small vehicle. I don't know if you guys also have it, which makes very ultra high noise. This is it's not a taxi, but it's a small vehicle on 3 wheels, and they're all in the cities. And that there was a picture of that on that magnet, and the teacher asked, "What is this?" and she never saw that, and she explained it very well, you know. So just to come like this came into my mind that small vehicle was making so much loud noise in the cities, and no one was caring about that, and people were accepting it somehow as a normal thing. Okay, so I would stop again and I will give a chance to someone else to speak. Anyone can start, and we all can open our mics. Please do not really keep your mics off. If you want to say something, just open your mic, unmute yourself and say something.
Okay, so I would like to know more about noise maps for cities because I don't think in my city there are these noise maps. Can you name particular places? Maybe I will look on the internet afterwards.
Great. I think there is some problem, Sonali, but we heard that your comment that, yeah, of course, in Pakistan, India, and the cities, we do not have this concept of noise map. For me, was even this new that noise map could exist, and perhaps it exists in certain parts of the world, or it is just an ideal. We can ask from Ezel, who know this better. Is this such a thing exist any part of the world? Any city has such map, do you think?
You said maps, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Noise maps,
there is.
yeah.
There is.
Oh, great.
Lots of country is getting new maps. They have to because
That's interesting.
yeah, they have to do this.
So maybe I wasn't aware of that, but I think maybe it exists also here as well in Germany and certain other parts of the world. And Amir, I would really like to hear. I think we lost him. He's gone. Okay, Shama, want to say something or add something to it or to our discussion? How's things going in India? And
yes, I would like to know which are the countries they have this noise map. I mean, if you would like to share this information. Hello?
yeah, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. So you want to share something, if I understood. You want to share screen or?
No. I want to know which are the countries they maintain this noise map. I mean, can you give some example of the countries who maintain the noise map?
Azal, I think your question is for you. You know which country has such a noise map, or you can give an example, a city?
I can't example, but I will check. I'm checking right now.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
It was also for me, but I think it's such a thing exists because I know from Frankfurt there are certain circular regions like A zone, B zone, C zone. Like this is a city center, then going out to the periphery, and all these changes, like the residential apartments are more expensive if you in the certain regions and stuff like that. Perhaps this is based on these kind of determinants or these kind of maybe the noise pollution or southern congestion or other factors as well. So did you get something, Azal?
I'm using my phone because of I can't.
Yeah, we will all look on that later. That what are the examples? Yeah. Yes.
This maps looks like and you can see the red area. It means the pollution is high. For example, do you know Istanbul from Turkey?
Yeah.
Istanbul has a noise pollution maps. For example.
So basically, just to explain, so it was a green to red. It's a scale. So the green area is lower noise pollution free region, and the red goes to the higher red color. It is a higher in noise. So mostly the city center or the area.
Red.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
They are going to green to red. I couldn't explain right now.
This is okay. Yeah. So I think this must be existing in certain other lot of maybe cities in Europe as well, but I was not aware of such a thing because it's out of my field. But it's nice, it's an interesting thing for all of us to know and maybe start motivating our local governments to have such a thing. Maybe Shama, this can be very interesting for you as an environmental lawyer.
Yes, exactly. That's the reason, because we have, when you propose something, we have to give examples. Okay, this country, they are having this system and they're doing well. So we have to cite it. That's the reason I was asking that if there's some example, if I can, if you can share with us. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. I think, so do you want to say something about your city? I think you're from Kolkata, if I remember.
Yes, I'm from Kolkata, but we recently relocated to Kolkata. Not very recent, but 2-3 years back. So my experience in India, I lived in various cities. Like I lived in Pune, I lived in Delhi, Greater Noida, Lucknow. So experience it changes with the cities. Pune, Maharashtra, they are quite organized. Delhi, because it's a capital, so it's organized. But Kolkata, I was literally scared when we moved to Calcutta, because first reason, they don't have any place where we can walk. I mean, every road you can see big buses everywhere. Even if it's a small lane, you can see a big bus coming from the other side. And secondly, they don't follow any traffic rule. Honk everywhere. It's really scary going out anywhere in Kolkata. So my experience in Kolkata is not very good, but in Pune and Delhi, those cities are quite well organized, nice cities. Yeah, that's it. It's different in different cities.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. I think just the same, if I like all my life lived in Pakistan, so it's the same. We do a lot of violations and we take pride to violate these laws.
Exactly. In India, is the same. We do not respect law and order. It shows that if we can break it, that shows that we are powerful.
Exactly.
That is a symbol of power. The word that is used is dabang. So everyone wants to be dabang, and that's the reason they don't respect law. That's the main problem. I think it's seen in all the third world countries, not just in India, in most of the third world countries.
So this is the culture actually comes from top political leader or our social models or what we have. Like if I've been stopped for violations, simply my first question would be, don't you know me who I am? So my first question, instead of being embarrassed. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly. So I think we summed it up quite nicely. And then Naseem, if you want to have some concluding words on that, and then perhaps you can stop recording after that. And then if we want to continue, we can speak a bit more.
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay, great. So I think in general, thank you so much, Ezel, again for this preparing. And I think that would be really nice if we do regularly, maybe couple or maybe 2-3 as a team.